Before the swarm erases me, I must write. I was an 18-year-old college student in Japan. I had no real friends, only online ones. My days were spent just playing video games. My life was empty, but I don't regret it. I will absolutely go back from this world. After the bug's victory, I am going home. Returning to Japan is my only real goal. For now, I can still think for myself. The current me is barely holding on. I'm afraid of losing my precious free will. These countless swarms, though individuals, speak as one. They form a collective consciousness centered on me. Even now, I feel their minds flowing in. The overwhelming influx of thought is agonizing. Maybe I already made a choice back then. I must stop thinking such negative thoughts now. Now, what is the first thing to do? I sit on my throne, my army awaits. But how am I supposed to do that? I am in a vast cave I've never seen. I don't remember this map from the game. This is strange. I knew every single map. In fact, this is more than just strange. The sheer number of my swarm is impossible. The game should have started with only a few. Did I take over from another player? It feels like I'm playing someone else's game. Well, I can't worry about that now. Finding other players is more important right now. If others are here, we can share information. We can work together and find a way home. My memories are fading. How do I return? That's only if I wasn't an Arachnneia. The savage Arachnneia were the game's common enemy. It is such a pain to be so hated. First, I need to gather some information. I focus my will, sending out my scouts. I have scattered my Ripper Swarm units. They report back through the collective consciousness. I create a three-dimensional map in my mind. An attendant calls out, "Your Highness." It announces that my new clothing is complete. I am genuinely surprised and pleased by it. I can't believe the swarm made something so beautiful. My attendant asks if I like the new dress. It says the workers can make anything I desire. The creature seems quite proud of its work. I gaze at my reflection. A new mystery arises. However, the image I see is very clear. I have become far too young. I should be 18, but I look younger. Why are my memories so ambiguous and unclear? This all feels like a strange, mysterious fairy tale. A voice calls out, "Your Highness." I'm still not used to being called that. A remote bug has made contact with something. This title is something I'm not used to. The message is simple. They're dwellers. A realization dawns. My focus sharpens. My servant asks what we should do now. So, this is our first contact with others. I tell it to continue observing the situation. I will connect directly with the distant scout. The map in my head is fully developed. I concentrate my mind on a single swarm. I synchronize my consciousness like clicking a unit. My vision shifts. The world rushes into view. Through its eyes, I see a small village. I can see them, the people of this world. This village is certainly inhabited. The villagers here, they appear to be elves. Elves should be hostile to a faction like mine. My attendant addresses me as Your Majesty. It asks for the order to attack and devour them. I consider its request, but something is wrong. Wait, I have something I must confirm. I have to be sure about this world. No player would ever build a base like this. It is far too defenseless against any attack. They have made no preparations for war. There are too many unnatural points here. Perhaps this isn't the savage world I know. Maybe we are a foreign element in this world. If so, my entire strategy must change. I must go and see this for myself. I have to make absolutely sure of this. I am the queen, and this is my strategy. In a tranquil forest, life seems peaceful. Strange, fluffy creatures rest on a tree branch. Another unique animal forages on the forest floor. The peace is broken by ragged, panicked breaths. A young elven boy and girl flee in terror. The girl stumbles and falls to the ground. She looks back, her face filled with fear. The boy, Renato, calls out to Reisa. He pleads with her, telling her they're coming. Reisa tells him to save himself and go on. He refuses, vowing they will go home together. Their pursuers corner them, shouting that they're found. Two young elves are trapped. The slaver chief ends their game. The girl tells the boy to go. He refuses to let that happen. No one will become a slave. He fires his arrow in defiance. The chief catches it with ease. The young elf is stunned. The chief examines the bloody tip. He scolds the boy for the attack. The elf's face fills with terror. The chief calls them bastards. He orders his men to kill him. He only wants to capture the girl. His men eagerly accept the order. The elf cries out in fear. He lets out a terrified scream. The slavers close in on him. He curses his fate and flees. The slavers mock his futile escape. The girl screams for him to run. He wishes desperately for more power. A club smashes into his leg. He collapses, crippled and defeated. A slaver grins, ready to strike. He weeps, wishing for more strength. The slaver declares one is down. An axe descends on the helpless boy. A violent, tearing sound erupts. The boy falls to the bloody ground. The girl watches in horrified silence. The boy is splattered with blood. He looks up in stunned confusion. A slaver's body is bisected. Something dangles horribly in the air. The other slavers stare in shock. A monster holds a man upside down. His hammer falls to the ground. They question the nightmare creature. One screams, asking what it is. The monster begins its brutal slaughter. A man cries for help in vain. A blade slashes across his face. The clearing fills with screams. The elf watches the carnage unfold. Blood splatters across the forest floor. The ground is littered with bodies. The chief babbles about the monster. The creature's many eyes stare back. The chief breaks down in terror. He prays as the creature attacks. The monster suddenly freezes in place. A new figure steps into the clearing. The terrified chief looks on. The elf boy watches in wonder. The elf girl stares, confused. A queen appears beside her monster. The creature asks if she is okay. She calmly confirms that she is. The two young elves are stunned. She has things she must confirm. The chapter title page is shown. The queen surveys her bloody work. The elves watch their mysterious savior. The queen looks down, conflicted. She questions her order to attack. But the children would have died. She decides it was just retribution. Her expression hardens with resolve. She addresses the two young elves. They look up at her, confused. She asks if they live nearby. They arrive at Baumfutter village. Their people call out their names. An adult scolds them for worrying everyone. They explain they were attacked. They were saved by a kind person. They want to introduce their savior. The villagers wonder who is coming. The girl warns them not to be surprised. The other elves look on, confused. The queen emerges from the trees. The boy presents their savior. He declares she is the Arachnneia queen. The villagers react with shock. They scream about the giant bug. The queen is taken aback. She wonders if they've seen a swarm. She tells them to be at ease. This isn't how she should act. She raises a hand to calm them. She assures them her servant is faithful. The villagers murmur amongst themselves. The monster clatters its fangs. She tells it to stop the noise. They are partners, not food. The creature apologizes for its rudeness. A new figure steps forward. An elder welcomes the rare guest. The villagers call out to the elder. An important person has finally appeared, he thinks. He prefaces his question with an apology. He asks if she might be a witch. The queen is surprised by his question. She is not a witch, but the Arachnneia queen. Her title confuses the entire elven village. A terrible realization suddenly dawns upon her. The elder has never heard of such a name. She asks if they truly do not know. Her inner thought confirms their complete ignorance. In her world, Arachneia's infamy was absolute. This is not the world from the game. The elves are baffled by her strange reaction. She pivots, proposing a deal with the elder. He asks if she is another slave trader. She has no use for slaves, wanting something else. Her stomach interrupts with a very loud growl. The elves can only stare, completely stunned. She meekly asks if they would feed her. She has gratefully finished the provided meal. She praises the food, much to their delight. The meal was good, but a problem remains. She asks the elves if they eat meat. They explain that the hunting season has ended. She realizes they have no fresh meat available. Her plan to feed the swarm has failed. She decides it is time for Plan B. She asks about the local slave traders. He confirms they have become a major problem. They also act as poachers in the forest. Their most valuable products are elven children. The elder sadly admits they are helpless. The queen's gaze becomes sharp and calculating. She suggests the simple solution of killing them. The elder is shocked by her blunt proposal. She points out that they are their problem. He starts to understand her grim logic. He realizes this is the deal she offered. She is glad he is a quick study. He asks what she wants in return. She wants a small portion of their food. This will be her personal share of the pact. She adds one final, important condition. The elder listens to her last term. The final destination of the corpses is secret. The bodies will be food for her children. She walks across the floor of her hive. The captive slaver chief, Moise, screams threats. He dares them to even try to touch him. A swift blow from a ripper silences him. She tearfully yells at him to be quiet. She turns away, distraught by her own actions. A single tear of hers splashes to the ground. She questions her newfound capacity for ruthlessness. She knows the slavers are terrible scumbags. They are not just enemies in a game. She recalls the simple meal, now tainted. Her own humanity feels like it is slipping. The swarm's collective mind is influencing her. She realizes this is a very bad sign. Moise looks on, confused by her turmoil. She approaches him with one final question. She asks if he knows the word Arachnneia. He has no idea what she is talking about. Since he has no useful information, he is worthless. He immediately begins to beg for his life. He offers to give her slaves for free. He can provide mountains of pretty little boys. He lewdly asks if she prefers young girls. Her eyes narrow with cold, seething hatred. She assures him that she won't kill him. It is time for phase 2 of Plan B. Moise is completely confused by her words. She calls down her worker swarm from above. She asks if the fertilization furnace is complete. Her workers confirm that it is ready. She praises them for their excellent work. Moise tries to get her attention again. He asks what on earth she is doing. She stands before a grotesque, living incubator. She orders the workers to feed it meat. The furnace's orifice consumes the offered food. It makes a wet, squelching digestive sound. A disgusting gurgle indicates it is ready. A worker reports that preparations are complete. The queen looks on with grim determination. She commands it to produce the parasite swarm. The entire organic structure begins to convulse. It throbs violently, preparing to give birth. Moise watches the process in sheer terror. A translucent birthing pod swells with new life. The queen watches the birth with cold eyes. The pod tears open with a wet pop. A slick, black, scorpion-like creature emerges. The newborn parasite shakes itself off the slime. Moise screams for the creature to get away. He begs her to keep it from him. She knows he would just attack the elves again. Releasing him is not an option she has. A single parasite scuttles towards its new host. She promises him a taste of slavery. A small, dark creature launches itself forward. The slave trader screams in sudden terror. The parasite forces its way into his mouth. He chokes and convulses in agony. His muffled cries echo in the dark cave. He hangs limp, his body twitching feebly. The queen orders his bonds to be undone. Her ripper swarm swiftly cuts the threads. His lifeless body slumps to the ground. She tests her control, ordering him to rise. A finger on his hand twitches in response. He stands before her, a mindless puppet. She observes her new, obedient servant. She commands him to pledge his allegiance. His eyes are blank, his will erased. He declares his fealty to the queen. She acknowledges the experiment's success. She orders the swarm to prepare for a journey. She asks how it feels to be a slave. He has a crucial job ahead of him. This is the next phase of her plan. His new purpose is to help her with trade. The queen's strategy in another world. They arrive in the western trade city of Reen. The queen travels under a concealing hood. She notes his ability to drive the carriage. She announces that their destination is near. She spots the shop they are looking for. Moise enters the shop as she commands. The queen hopes her remote control works. The shopkeeper sits behind his counter. He recognizes Moise and demands his business. The queen prompts him about the dresses. Moise states he wants to sell dresses. The shopkeeper assumes they are stolen goods. She tells him she returned the troubles. Moise clarifies he got them through trade. The merchant reluctantly agrees to see them. The horse waits patiently outside the shop. Moise presents the exquisite dresses. The merchant is stunned by their quality. He marvels at the inhuman craftsmanship. She knows no human could replicate them. He offers to buy them for 200,000 floria. A new voice counters with a higher offer. The new merchant chides the shopkeeper's low price. He offers 300,000 plus a bonus. She feels he is still taking advantage. Through Moise, she accepts the deal. A heavy pouch of money is exchanged. The queen returns to the waiting wagon. She peeks inside the covered compartment. Her Ripper Swarm bodyguard is waiting. She climbs aboard to join her protector. She thanks her bodyguard for its patience. The creature prefers her company to Moise's. The queen notices something on the floor. She finds a stray piece of cloth. She asks her bodyguard to hold still. She explains it's a ribbon to identify it. The swarm explains its collective nature. She acknowledges their shared identity, but she insists the gesture is okay. She happily tells it the ribbon looks good. The ribbon is tied to its bladed limb. They soon arrive at their next stop. Her boot steps onto the cobblestone street. She announces it is time for more shopping. A butcher hawks his cheap lamb meat. She is pleased to have finally found meat. The butcher calls out about fresh meat. Moise asks the butcher for some meat. The butcher asks what kind he is looking for. Moise offers to buy everything with the money. The butcher is shocked by the large order. Moise insists he will take even old meat. The frightened butcher agrees to the sale. Crates are loaded high with their purchase. The queen lets out a tired yawn. She says they stood out with their purchase. She is relieved to have a meat supply, but her larger problems still remain. She wonders what her next move should be. With meat, she can now grow the swarm. For now, she must gather information, but she doesn't know how to proceed. The swarm believes she will bring victory. She asks her bodyguard what victory means. Is it world domination or a new nation? The creature's many eyes watch her. It doesn't know, but trusts her majesty. The weight of their faith is heavy. She laughs at their immense faith in her. She wonders if they'd eat her if she fails. Leading them will be a difficult task. The wagon suddenly lurches to a stop. She peeks outside, wondering what happened. A group of men call out to Moise. Mercenaries sneer that he made a profit. The queen peeks out, wondering about these men. They all wear the same skull emblem. The leader reminds Moise of a forgotten debt. His companion screams that the debt comes first. She realizes the scumbag is also in debt. This is bad. They're inspecting the cargo. Escape is impossible. She must prepare to fight. But a flicker of hesitation crosses her face. She knows she must kill again, influenced by the swarm. The thought of it makes her feel sick. The mercenary is confused to find only meat. The leader spots something else in the wagon. He sees the queen sitting among the crates. He sees her as a slave to clear the debt. A cold fury begins to build within her. She sees them as nothing but human scum. The others agree she is a quality prize. One climbs in, promising to care for her. Her disgust and hatred continue to grow. Another reaches out, wanting a taste. Her eyes widen with pure, unbridled fury. The leader declares her the payment for the debt. He gasps in sudden, utter shock. A black blur shoots past him. His hand is cleanly severed at the wrist. He begins to scream in agony. He screams, questioning what just happened. Another mercenary is thrown from the wagon. The queen steps onto the blood-soaked ground. She calls him the same as the slave trader. The remaining men are shocked and confused. She condemns them for trying to harm children. They finally see the monster emerging behind her. She calls upon her Ripper Swarm by name. She points, unleashing her protector. She feels no sympathy for these worthless dogs. She screams the name of her Ripper Swarm. The creature erupts from the wagon to attack. Its bladed limbs tear through the first man. The mercenaries scream, identifying it as a monster. They scream in terror, trying to get away. One calls to shoot the creature from afar. But the swarm is a blur of motion. It cuts down 2 more men with ease. She reaffirms that they are all pieces of shit. She commands her swarm to kill them. Her order is to kill them all. She commands it to slaughter them in her name. The command is a visceral, powerful scream. The swarm echoes her single-minded command, kill. Her eyes blaze with the order to kill. Her entire being screams the command to kill. The final mercenaries are struck down. The few survivors break and flee in terror. They escape on horseback into the woods. She praises her Ripper swarm for its work. She relishes the memory of their frightened faces. But she finally notices the arrows in its back. She calls its name, her tone now worried. The wounded creature begins to sway unsteadily. It suddenly lunges directly towards her. She cries its name in utter shock. The impact knocks her to the ground. She looks up, crying out its name again. It asks if Her Majesty is unharmed. She is fine, but her concern is for it. Its body is riddled with grievous injuries. She kneels, wondering why she hadn't noticed. She realizes the wounds are already fatal. It addresses her as Your Majesty one last time. It assures her that it feels no fear of death. A single tear escapes her eye. It is glad to see her safe. The light fades from its multiple eyes. She looks down at its still, silent form. She is alone amidst the bodies of her foes. She turns away from the grim scene. She tries to accept its cold logic. The individual is just a trivial fluctuation. Its consciousness simply returned to the whole. She tries to remain detached and logical. Her gaze falls upon the blood-stained ribbon. A tear falls as she whispers an apology. But she cannot accept this loss. It was not just an insignificant unit. It was a warrior who died for her. Her sorrow hardens into cold resolve. She vows to hit back 1,000 times. The wind whips her hair around her. Her grief has now become pure rage. A silent scream of vengeance tears from her. Her fist clenches, sealing her vow. Her Majesty's otherworldly strategy begins. She asks the elder if he recognizes the symbol. The elder examines the emblem while she waits. He believes it belongs to a human crime syndicate. She realizes this is something only humans would know. The elder apologizes for his limited knowledge. She thanks him warmly for the delicious meal. The elven children call out her title. Lisa watches as Linnet heaves a heavy sack forward. The queen greets the 2 young elves by name. Linnet proudly offers his gift to Her Majesty. The sack is filled with an abundance of mushrooms. He shyly says he heard she loves mushrooms. The queen clarifies her swarms like them, asking if it was a difficult task. Linnet boasts that for her, it was no trouble. Lisa jabs him in the ribs for being boastful. She scolds him for being so starstruck by the queen. The queen asks if she can really keep them all. Lisa insists it is the least they can do. The forest is much safer now thanks to her servants. The queen is glad to hear it and accepts the gift. Lisa remembers she has one more thing to give her. She presents another, smaller item to the queen. The queen holds up a small, handmade doll. Lisa explains that it is a good luck charm. She and Linnet made it to keep Her Majesty safe. They proudly show off their own matching charms. The queen is visibly touched by their kindness. She thanks them, calling the charm very reassuring. The queen announces that it is time for her to go. She confirms her departure with a simple yep. She has a small matter she needs to take care of. She returns to the echoing darkness of her cave. Before the fertilization furnace, she asks if it is ready. Her expression is grim, her purpose clear. She gives the command to produce the night swarm. The grotesque furnace begins to convulse violently. It strains and pulses, forging a powerful new life. She recalls this is the Arachneia's unique hero unit. It is a special unit that evolves and grows stronger. A figure emerges, dripping from the birthing sac. The new creation stands before its queen, ready. It holds a massive greatsword, its tip on the floor. The night swarm kneels and pledges its loyal service. The queen names her Serignan and tells her to rise. The knight obeys Her Majesty's command immediately. The queen observes her new, powerful creation. She is caught completely off guard by a revelation. The knight is a powerful, armored woman. A bead of sweat runs down the queen's face. She asks in disbelief if Sarignan is a woman. She blames her low graphic settings for the mistake. Sarignan confirms that she is indeed female. She asks if her queen is perhaps displeased. The queen grins, saying this is much better. Sarignan's face lights up with relief and joy. The queen asks if she can take a human form. Sarignan agrees to do as Her Majesty wills. She begins the painful process of transformation. She grunts in exertion as her body changes. Her insectoid features begin to retract and shift. The queen watches as her outer crust changes. Sarignan stands panting, her transformation done. She announces that the change is complete. The queen praises her for a job well done. Sarignan asks if it is time to fight the enemy. The queen confirms they must find and wipe them out. She vows to slaughter every last one of them. Sarignan looks upon her queen with pure adoration. She pledges to accompany Her Majesty wherever she goes. The queen thanks her and plans their trip to town. Their carriage rattles down the streets of Reen. A shopkeeper welcomes the approaching customers. The clothing merchant recognizes them immediately. He eagerly asks to buy more of their popular dresses. Moise places a pouch on the merchant's counter. The merchant excitedly assumes it is another payment. Moise states 25,000 Floria will be enough. The merchant is confused by the strange offer. Moise explains he has a question for him instead. He presents the tattered mercenary emblem. He asks if the merchant has seen the symbol before. The merchant's expression instantly becomes guarded. He denies knowing anything about the symbol. He shoves the money back, telling them to leave. They depart the town, their lead gone cold. The queen sighs, noting he would not talk easily. She is certain that he knows something, however. Sarignan offers to squeeze the information from him. The queen holds up a hand to stop her. They will not use force, as he is still useful. They can use the money as a bounty for information. The carriage continues its journey down the road. The queen asks Sarignan about her first time along. Sarignan is not sure if she was useful. The queen praises her mimicry, but says she needs practice. Sarignan beams, promising to do her best. The carriage suddenly lurches to a stop. Sarignan asks why they have stopped their journey. The queen tells her companions to get ready. Mercenaries block the road, shouting for Moise. Moise asks who they are, not recognizing them. They are from the Lisitsa family, here for a debt. Their leader promises to torture Moise for his actions. He volunteers to be the one to do it. His men joke about his preference for weak victims. Another mercenary leers at the carriage, expecting slaves. The leader discusses the proper way to treat a woman. A battle cry echoed through the woods. The mercenary leader was instantly bisected. His severed head fell, utterly bewildered. Sarignan declared the fight was dull. Her monstrous limbs lashed out violently. She became a whirlwind of death. Her foes cried out in horror. One cursed his fate, seeing no escape. He gasped as a shadow loomed. A sharp leg impaled him from behind. He was lifted, shocked, and dying. His body was pierced by many blades. Another man was brutally smashed aside. The clearing became a scene of total chaos. Sarignan reveled in the frenzied slaughter. A mercenary's head was split cleanly open. She carved through them with a wild grin. Another brutal strike claimed a life. Her swarm joined the bloody massacre. The sounds of carnage filled the air. Blood splattered against the forest trees. The last survivor sat stunned in the dirt. He yelped as a figure approached. A blade's point stopped before his eye. Sarignan told him the queen had questions. The queen's boots stepped into view. She asked if he was from the Lisitsa family. He demanded to know who they were. He foolishly told them to stay out of it. The queen and her knight shared a look. He panicked, never having seen such monsters. His terror was plain for all to see. A sharp limb pierced through his leg. He screamed as Sarignan twisted the blade. She demanded he answer Her Majesty properly. He broke, promising to tell them everything. The queen prepared to ask her questions. Her face became a mask of pure shadow. He tearfully confirmed his allegiance. She asked if they attacked her carriage. He confessed that his organization had. He explained their boss wanted revenge. He realized she must be the woman. The queen asked if that was all he knew. He swore it was, pleading for his life. He begged them to spare him. She ignored him, asking for the hideout. A Ripper swarm addressed Her Majesty. It presented a map found on a corpse. The queen turned, her decision made. She declared she had no more use for him. He looked up in confused terror. Serignan's greatsword swung in a silver arc. His head landed silently in the dirt. His body collapsed with a heavy thud. The queen praised her knights' good work. She stretched. The battle now concluded. She turned, ready for the next phase. Her eye glinted with cold purpose. She asked if her knight remembered the orders. Serignan smiled with absolute adoration. The queen gave her brutal instructions. They would make their enemies regret this. She would show them true fear and despair. The name Arachnneia would be feared. Serignan screamed her zealous agreement. The swarm clattered, eager for battle. The queen paused in a moment of thought. She wondered about the order she gave. Was it her or the hive mind? She stood silently, processing the thought. She decided that it did not matter. She turned, her long hair flowing. She declared it was time for the slaughter. A new raid was about to begin. They arrived at the Lisitsa Familia's estate. The carriage wheels clattered on stone. 2 guards stepped out to intercept them. The queen thought it was time for a massacre. The guards looked toward the carriage driver. They mockingly recognized the slave trader, Moise. They approached the carriage with contempt. They angrily ordered him to get out. A black blur erupted from the canvas. A guard looked up in sudden confusion. Serignan tore through them in an instant. She reported that the trash was handled. The queen thanked her loyal Serignan. She smiled, ready to avenge her fallen servant. She gave the order to rip and tear. The mercenaries inside were suddenly alerted. She commanded her swarm to slaughter them all. Serignan immediately cut down the first man. She roared, baring her fangs in battle lust. The grand hall would soon run red. She leaped through the air to attack. The men screamed that monsters were attacking. Their leader frantically called for everyone. Mercenaries swarmed into the main hall. The queen asked if they could break through. Serignan worried for her queen's safety. More mercenaries charged into the grand hall. The queen decided to call for reinforcements. She gleefully summoned her digger swarm. The marble floor began to shatter violently. A digger swarm erupted from the ground. It impaled the charging mercenaries with spikes. The new monster towered over its victims. Its crystalline legs tore through the rubble. The surviving soldiers stared in utter terror. The queen asked if the odds improved. Serignan praised her queen's brilliant strategy. The queen became flustered by the praise. The battle continued to rage around them. Her concentration wavered from the compliments. An arrow suddenly flew towards the queen. Her Ripper swarm blocked the deadly arrow. It urged her to stay close for safety. She thanked her protector, promising more care. The slaughter in the grand hall continued. The crime lord stomped his feet angrily. He screamed, demanding to know what happened. He demanded to know who they were. She identified him as a dead man. He snarled at her with pure fury. The queen ordered him to be captured. Serignan questioned the change of her orders. She promised a slow, painful fate for him. He offered a huge reward for their deaths. His men charged with renewed vigor. Serignan and the swarm met their charge. She was grateful to have her knight. Serignan was shocked by her queen's thoughts. She realized her thoughts were not private. She declared Serignan her #1 knight. The praise fueled her deadly assault. Her face glowed with pure, ecstatic joy. She screamed that she was her queen's knight. She announced herself as the Night Swarm. She begged her queen to watch her fight. The queen watched her knight with amusement. She fought as Her Majesty's #1 knight. The captured boss cried out for help. The queen surveyed the silent, bloody hall. He desperately tried to bribe his captors. Serignan brutally kicked him into silence. She threatened him with a gruesome fate. He could only whimper in absolute terror. She confirmed there were no other survivors. She turned her attention to the boss. She decided it was time to leave. Serignan asked what to do with him. She decided to let him live there. A flicker of hope appeared on his face. But she had one last thing to do. The crime lord was utterly confused. She presented him with a writhing parasite, his mind shattered in pure, abject horror. The lean knights investigated the mass murder. A culprit for the case was found. It was the boss, holding a sword. His confession detailed an internal power struggle. He was promptly sentenced and then hanged. But there was something unusual about it. Unnatural holes were found in the floor. The number of corpses was suspiciously low. They concluded some conspirators must have fled. Their search for the truth would fail. The missing corpses fed the fertilization furnace. The queen ordered the bodies to be loaded. Her attendant asked what they would produce. She decided to make more Ripper swarms. However, she still had a major problem. She did not know who to attack. Her scouts continued to gather information. They discovered the nearby kingdom of Malook. She now had a map of the continent. She still knew nothing but their names. Their base was in a precarious location. Investigation was a very urgent matter. Her puppets were too awkward for espionage. Sending Sarignan alone was far too risky. She needed to unlock more specialized units. She did not know what to do next. She resigned herself to the current situation. For now, she would increase her swarm. Soon billions of innocent people would die. Her swarm chanted for blood and skulls. They would burn for the swarm's pleasure. United, they would finally roam free. She screamed for the entire world to burn. The swarm echoed her cry for destruction. 3 months passed in grim preparation. A strange peace had settled over the hive. The hive had grown significantly in size. In the game, she would have attacked, but she still lacked critical intelligence. A Ripper swarm approached its queen. She asked what the matter was. It suggested they should go on the offensive. The queen sat in quiet contemplation. Her Ripper swarm proposed attacking Lean. She considered its cold, simple logic. She recalled the game's research mechanic. This world clearly shared the game's rules. She disliked the idea of an unprovoked attack. The swarm suggested destroying Lean, then Malook. This would solve all their resource problems. She noted the swarm's simple, direct thinking. She finally agreed to a plunder economy. An urgent mental alert cut through her thoughts. She asked if it was the village patrol. A large force was marching on Baumfeder. The scout reported a well-trained army. They were knights from the kingdom of Malook. She ordered the scouts to delay them. The scout acknowledged its suicide mission. She rallied all her units for battle. She had a brief moment of self-reflection. She wondered if her old self would care. A shadow seemed to cross her face. She now had a perfect excuse for war. An elf ran screaming into the village. The elder asked if it was slave traders. The messenger corrected him. They were knights. The queen's forces were being overwhelmed. A volley of arrows darkened the sky. A Ripper swarm was pierced and fell. The small patrol was no match for them. The commander confirmed the witch's existence. He ordered the entire village burned down. The peaceful village was consumed by fire. The elves and knights clashed in chaos. Linnet watched his father fall in battle. His father told him to save Lisa. Linnet stared as his father was killed. He refused to abandon his home. He vowed that he would also fight. A title page showed Linnet and Lisa. A raging inferno engulfed the homes. Elves and knights were locked in combat. An elf was brutally slain by a knight. Linnet looked upon his father's body. His face became a mask of grief. He cursed as he drew his bow. Lisa suddenly appeared amidst the chaos. He was shocked to see her there. He demanded to know why she came back. She begged him to run away with her. She suggested fleeing to the monster's forest. He refused to leave his father's memory. She cried that he would be killed. He insisted that he could fight, too. He pushed her, telling her to escape. Lisa reached for him as he ran. Knights on horseback charged into battle. The commander ordered the heretics slaughtered. An elf cried out as he was killed. The elven defenders were falling one by one. The commander ordered the corpses beheaded. His soldier eagerly complied with the order. He feared the witch's reanimation curses. The ground was stained with elven blood. An elf told Linnet they were all doomed. Linnet looked on in panicked desperation. An arrow struck an elf beside him. A spear impaled another elven fighter. Linnet gritted his teeth in frustration. He tried to find an opening to attack. An arrow narrowly missed his face. He remembered the lucky charm they had made. He realized he had left it at home. He raised his bow for another shot. The vacant eyes of the dead elves. A gruesome pile of severed heads. The commander ordered the heads counted. He demanded his men find any survivors. A cold voice commented on the scene. The commander turned, startled by the voice. The queen approached the battlefield alone. The knights were surprised to see a girl. The commander's face was grim. He found her strangely bewitching. He assumed she was an elf ally. He identified her as the rumored witch. His archers took aim at her. A volley of arrows flew towards the queen. She did not even flinch. The arrows were deflected by a barrier. Serignan appeared, vowing to protect her. The knights recoiled from the new monster. The commander was disgusted by her form. He ordered his men to kill them both. Serignan easily dispatched 2 knights. The queen mocked their pathetic numbers. A massive swarm emerged from the woods. The commander stared in utter disbelief. The queen gave the order to attack. The Ripper swarms surged forward. The swarm crashed into the knights' lines. A knight curses their impossible situation. The commander screams for them to fight. The endless swarm crashes upon them. The queen observes with a cruel smile. A subordinate begs to summon the angel. The commander hesitates, sweating with stress. He curses, hating this forced decision. He prepares the ritual with a grimace. He incants a plea to the heavens. He calls to the angel Agaphiel. A blinding pillar of light descends. The queen stares in utter disbelief. Great white wings unfurl from the light. The angel Agaphiel floats above them. Her ethereal face is calm and empty. The queen realizes it is an angel. The angel asks if they need salvation. The commander begs her for deliverance. The queen realizes other game units exist. She orders the pantyless angel destroyed. The swarm continues its relentless assault. The angel judges them as pure evil. She vows to obliterate the entire swarm. The queen screams a desperate warning. A devastating beam of light is unleashed. The holy power cuts across the battlefield. A section of her swarm is vaporized. The knights roar in triumphant praise. The angel floats, victorious and serene. The commander laughs with maniacal joy. The queen curses this unforeseen development. She wonders why they were so prepared. She dismisses the thought for now. She doubts if Serignan can win this. Serignan confidently accepts the challenge. The queen looks at her knight, worried. Serignan presents her demonic blade. It is a sword that can cut light. She can now unleash its true power. The queen looks on with grim resolve. She quietly acknowledges her knight's will. She gives her knight an absolute order. Serignan accepts with a fierce grin. She launches herself toward her foe. She screams a challenge at the angel. The angel calmly creates a light shield. Serignan's blade clashes against the barrier. The angel's calm expression finally cracks. Serignan dodges a blast of holy light. The angel fires another divine projectile. The attack misses as Serignan closes in. The angel's eyes widen in surprise. The demon's sword grazes the angel's cheek. Serignan grins, having drawn first blood. She grabs the angel in a final embrace. Her insectoid limbs tear her foe apart. A rain of feathers and blood falls. The commander gapes in utter horror. The knights cannot believe what they see. He screams, his mind utterly broken. Serignan proclaims her absolute loyalty. The queen praises her glorious knight. Serignan beams with starstruck adoration. The queen addresses her victorious swarm. The surviving knights are now surrounded. She orders them killed as painfully as possible. The commander's broken body is left behind. The queen declares the area is now safe. The village elder emerges from the ruins. She asks if the elder is all right. He mourns his fallen young warriors. The queen listens with a somber expression. Lisa runs into the clearing, calling out. The queen calls the frantic girl's name. Lisa turns to her, desperate for news. She asks if anyone has seen Linnet. The queen confirms that he was fighting. She promises to let her know if he's found. Lisa insists on searching for him herself. The queen tries to warn her away. Another villager calls out to Lisa. She saw Linnet run toward his house. Lisa breaks away, driven by dread. The queen watches her go, concerned. Lisa sprints desperately through the wreckage. She clutches the charm he made for her. She screams his name, approaching the house. A title page foreshadows the grim discovery. Lisa continues her desperate, frantic run. Her foot catches on the uneven ground. She tumbles forward, crying out in pain. She pushes herself back up immediately. A memory of Linnet calling her name flashes. She stumbles again in her desperate haste. She screams his name, her voice cracking. She races toward the small, ruined home. She reaches the doorway, calling for him. Her voice trails off as she enters. She freezes, her mouth open in shock. She finds Linnet's severed head on a table. Lisa's eyes are wide with dawning horror. A cry of "No!" echoes from the house. The queen and Serignan hear the scream. The queen rushes towards the tragic sound. She bursts in, calling Lisa's name. They see the horrific scene inside. Lisa cradles Linnet's severed head. The queen's face fills with sorrow. She calls Linnet brave for his sacrifice. She places a hand on Lisa's shoulder. His sacrifice bought them precious time. The queen's expression is deeply pained. She steps forward to comfort the boy. She wishes the true warrior peace. Lisa looks up, her face numb with shock. A single tear falls on Linnet's face. A low sound of grief escapes her. Her sorrow erupts into a raw wail. Her agonizing scream echoes through the ruins. The queen's face hardens into cold fury. Lisa clutches the head, lost in pain. The queen's eyes burn with vengeance. Linnet's headless body lies on the floor. Lisa's good luck charm is shown. The queen asks why they were attacked. The survivors gather in the ruined village. The elder blames the slavers' false reports. They likely lied about an elven plot. The queen listens with a grim expression. She accepts the blame for the tragedy. The elder insists she is not at fault. He says she only tried to protect them. His words offer a small, hollow comfort. Her naivete cost the young elf his life. Serignan insists it is not her fault. The queen asks for a moment of silence. Serignan falls silent at her queen's command. Her frustration and anxiety threaten to spill. She struggles to maintain her composure. She was truly saddened by his death. The elder asks what they will do now. He says they must find a new home. Lisa's screams still tear at her heart. The elder admits they have nowhere to go. The queen offers a permanent, final solution. Her face is cast in dark shadow. She declares war, promising to raise Malook. The elder is stunned by her declaration. Serignan is equally shocked and awed. The elder questions if it is possible. She will use everything in her power. She will give them an unbelievable war. She addresses her entire assembled swarm. She recalls her promise to bring victory. She prepares to make her announcement. The time for war has finally come. Her swarm stirs with buzzing anticipation. Their enemy is the kingdom of Malook. They murdered a friend, causing despair. She feels their pain deep within her. She asks if they feel her sorrow. Her grief flows through the hive mind. The swarm responds with a unified thought. They collectively feel her profound sadness. Serignan cries out in shared anguish. The entire hive mind echoes, "We are sad." Tears of rage stream down her face. Their only response is total annihilation. They will destroy Malook with irreversible will. The enemy is not chosen. They are. The Arachnneia will be angels of death. The swarm clatters their claws in agreement. She renounces all mercy and compassion. This will be a massacre to grow stronger. She orders them to kill every last one. Her swarm roars her name in adoration. She renews her vow to her legion. She will lead them to glorious victory. A decorative panel provides a transition. The swarm chants her name in unison. The queen smirks with grim satisfaction. Serignan screams her devotion to the queen. The queen summons Serignan to follow her. She hums a haunting anthem of war. It ends with a guttural war cry. They enter the war room together. Serignan praises her queen's moving speech. She notices blood on the queen's face. The queen is confused by the warning. She touches her fingers to her nose. She sees the blood from her nosebleed. She dismisses it as overexcitement. The bleeding has already stopped. Serignan sighs in profound relief. The queen licks the blood from her finger. She announces the strategy is ready. She wishes to speak it aloud first. Serignan eagerly awaits her commands. There are 3 paths to the capital. She outlines the 3-pronged invasion. The queen outlines her 3-pronged assault. Destroying the capital is not enough. This is the law of the swarm. Victory means destroying everything they have. She will apply her game strategy here. She must be thorough, leaving no survivors. Serignan eagerly accepts her queen's will. Rippers and diggers form the main force. The Ripper swarm will lead the attack. Diggers will breach the enemy's defenses. A simple rush strategy will suffice. Serignan is amazed by the strategy. Serignan eagerly asks for her assignment. Serignan will fight on the front lines. She accepts with absolute delight. A sudden moment of confusion. She is shocked the queen is coming. The queen wants a front row seat. She has absolute faith in her knight. Her knight is overcome with emotion. She vows to exceed all expectations. The queen gives a knowing smile. Serignan seems suddenly unwell. She has a question for the queen. The queen agrees to listen. Her body feels hot and strange. She fears she has caught a disease. The queen considers this seriously. She checks her knight for a fever. The sudden touch surprises Serignan. She confirms that Serignan has a fever. Her heart pounds with anxiety. The swarm should be immune to disease. She suspects an evolution is imminent. Serignan doesn't understand the term. The queen decides to just explain. She describes the Bloody Night swarm. Serignan focuses on the image. She suddenly sees the new form. It's a vision from the hive mind. The vision triggers immense pain. She violently rips off her armor. Pieces of armor clatter to the floor. Her body begins to burst and change. The transformation is agonizingly painful. The queen watches the process unfold. A new, powerful form is revealed. She asks if this is evolution. The queen confirms her knight's change. She is now the Bloody Night swarm. Serignan accepts her new power with glee. A peaceful squirrel munches on a nut. The scene shifts to the kingdom of Malook. News of the defeat has arrived. 2 ministers approach the throne. King Ivan II cannot accept the loss. A minister confirms the terrible news. The Minister of Defense urges action. He brings up the rumor of a witch. The Prime Minister dismisses the idea. He suggests the Nernal Empire is involved. The minister quickly changes his tune. The Prime Minister seems unconvinced. The minister quietly insults his rival. The king believes Nernal is the enemy. He advises preparing the army. The king declares they are chosen. In his rage, he breaks his scepter. He orders the elves exterminated. A new chapter begins. The army of Malook begins its march. The king questions their troop numbers. Rows of soldiers stand ready. Their logistics in the forest are weak. 15,000 soldiers should be enough. The enemy won't expect a full army. This is an opportunity for annihilation. The king considers their words. The prime minister seems thoughtful. He wonders if Nernal is a misdirection. Nernal is the only logical explanation. Still, something feels very strange. He worries for the kingdom's security. The princess bursts into the room. Princess Elizabeth is excited for war. The minister says she shouldn't be here. The prime minister mocks the minister. The king puts a stop to it. His demeanor changes for his daughter. She asks who they will massacre. She is horrified by tales of elves. He claims the elves are evil beings. She believes the vile stories. He declares the elves are filthy. She begs her father to kill them. He promises to set things right. They pray for the elves' destruction. The army arrives at Lean. A soldier feels something is strange. Commander Grand Jinsbel asks for clarification. Soldiers doubt that elves defeated the Holy Knights. Their commander believes Nernal's army is hiding nearby. The soldiers curse Nernal for allying with elves. He dismisses them all as contemptible, racist savages. He just wants to finish this and go home. His men tease him about his waiting family. He proudly says his daughter is 3 years old. His men laugh, calling him a fine father. He closes his eyes, thinking of his home. He fights to protect his daughter's home from scum. He secures the cap on his water skin decisively. He silently tells his daughter to be good. He imagines her innocent wish for his return. Suddenly, an alarm bell clangs through the camp. The soldiers are startled by the sudden alarm. The large iron bell rings out a frantic warning. Their commander demands to know what is happening. A messenger runs in with an urgent dispatch. He shouts that the city gates are under attack. The 1st Regiment needs immediate reinforcement, he reports. Jinsbul realizes the enemy has come to them. He orders his battalion to push back the assault. The soldiers quickly mobilize, grabbing their weapons. Ranks of spearmen form up, their faces grim. An officer confirms the magician squads are mobilized. He knows the enemy seeks a decisive showdown. The commander slams his fist into his palm. He vows to crush whichever enemy has come. A monster bursts from the ground, impaling soldiers. A soldier's eyes widen in absolute disbelief. The defenders scream in terror at the sight. What in the world are these things? The soldiers are frozen in absolute terror. A soldier screams, questioning what they are fighting. The monsters overwhelm the helpless human soldiers. A soldier screams, horrified by the monstrous creatures. They are being attacked from the ground itself. He orders the magicians to unleash their fireballs. A bladed limb tears through a soldier's chest. The magicians launch volleys of fiery attacks. A monster shrieks as it is set ablaze. The officer shouts that their attacks are working. Their brief hope shatters as they look up. A soldier screams, his face a mask of terror. A lookout screams of an uncountable approaching horde. The soldiers below react with utter shock. The main city gate begins to splinter and crack. The soldiers inside wait with terrified anticipation. The massive gate explodes inward with great force. A tide of monsters pours through the breach. The full, terrifying horde of the swarm appears. The human soldiers stare, paralyzed with fear. A soldier lets out a final, hopeless scream. The swarm crashes into them, a wave of death. The swarm pours over the walls and gate. A dying soldier realizes they are completely doomed. A survivor reports the 1st squadron is gone. A soldier is splattered with his comrade's blood. Commander Jinsbul resolves that he must survive this. He screams the order to retreat to the west. The soldiers break ranks and flee for their lives. He knows this is a completely hopeless battle. A soldier realizes these things are not natural. He realizes the witch must have summoned them. The soldiers flee, knowing they cannot fight this. He rationalizes his flight as a strategic retreat. His family is waiting for him to come home. He promises his child that he is coming home. He runs, thinking only of the Western Gate. Escape will finally end this horrible nightmare. But the Western Gate is already completely overrun. The countless eyes of the swarm stare back. Jinsbul stares in hopeless, utter disbelief. Serignan appears, mocking them for wanting war. The soldiers scream, trying to run once more. 2 soldiers are instantly cut down in a flash. She calls them pathetic for daring to be soldiers. Jinsbul can only whisper the word monsters. A message is relayed from the story's chronicler. The queen sings a song to her swarm. Her army of shadows marches to her voice. The slaughter continues until the stars are alight. The song speaks of mist, shadow, and shade. The song promises that everything will soon fade. Serignan grins, knowing the song's true meaning. More soldiers are cut down without mercy. She delivers the final, deadly note herself.